Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Full Throttle Infinitely Wide, the Motorsports Community Podcast. I'm Preston, joined by Ryan and Cody. Ryan and Mike, excuse me. I botched it horribly there.
Good enough.
Uh, yeah, Cody is once again absent. Hopefully he'll be back in next week's episode. He just had some prior commitments to take care of. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at St. Petersburg, the series' first ever street circuit race. And then we're going to talk about the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Circuit of the Americas. Then the opening race of the IndyCar Series season at St. Petersburg. And finally, NASCAR Cup Series at Circuit of the Americas. That's all in terms of the races that we're covering. After that, we'll close by talking about our thoughts on NASCAR reviving the chase. So, let's get into it. Let's start off, of course, with the Truck Series at St. Petersburg. This is the first street circuit race for the Truck Series, as I just mentioned. And personally, I thought it was pretty good. It was won by Lane.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was won by Lane Riggs, who led 40 laps, and it looked like he was going to run out of fuel in like the final lap, but he still managed to beat Ty Majeski to the line.
I got a caveat to that. Lane himself said it stuttered and he had to switch to the reserve. So he technically did run out of gas on the last lap, but he switched to the reserve, so he was running on the reserve at the end. For that and for
which
the
on a
lap,
track like that is maybe an extra lap. How much reserve did the Truck Series run?
What was the question, Mike?
Oh, how much does the reserve tank hold in the Truck Series? Is it?
Can't remember off the top of my head. Ryan, do you know?
Well,
I don't. I'm not.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just let's continue.
Yeah.
I just know he had enough. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, so we had a few guest appearances in this race, including Dario Franchitti of all people. And it looked like he was going to finish in the top 10 before he unfortunately had a transmission issue late in the race.
I think he clarified later during the IndyCar race that it sounded like they had a gear that went out of either the transmission or rear gear, and that's why they had to pit.
Yeah,
dropped him out of the top 10 because you were right. He was running top 10. He was running basically 6th to 7th the whole race, and unfortunately, mechanical issue kept him from finishing there.
Yeah. But he still did pretty well, I would say. And a lot of people are wondering if this race is going to return next year. I'd like to see it happen. I mean,
I hope it does. It was nice seeing them on a different circuit than what they usually run.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
I'd say if they do return it, and I said this when I streamed the race too, you got to keep it a standalone event for the trucks. Granted, not standalone the fact if you wanted to run it a partner one with IndyCar like they did, I think it's a great idea. It gives maybe possibly a chance to see like another IndyCar guy hop in there, hop into a truck for a race down the road. But I like it better if it's a standalone event for the trucks. We need more of those like standalone truck events. I think this is a great opportunity for them to have like a standalone event, something unique, something different for them.
I remember when the Truck Series was first starting out, and they hardly ever ran the same tracks as the Cup Series. Maybe a few speedways here and there, but it was mostly short track stuff that the Cup Series didn't go to.
Yeah, one of the tracks that the Truck Series used to visit was the Colorado National Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I live about 40 minutes away from or something. But I don't see the series ever returning to that track. Anyway,
there was also Pikes Peak, but that was for the O'Reilly series.
Yeah.
Then Busch series.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a fun truck race, and now we move on to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. And to the surprise of probably nobody, it was absolutely dominated by Shane Van Gisbergen.
I have one more note on the Truck Series thing, really quick.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I just thought it was neat that it was the last time when the Truck Series shared in a location with Indy was also in Florida, and that was the Walt Disney World Speedway way back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I got
Add that little note.
it's funny you say that because that you had Greg Biffle won there. I think Kurt Busch won there in the Truck Series at Walt Disney World. It's when Disney basically created a racetrack, and it was originally for the IRL. It was not. It was originally meant to be for IRL to begin with, and then they added the Truck Series.
Yep. If only I got to visit that track before it was demolished. Oh well. But yeah, as I was trying to talk about the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, you guys weren't surprised at Shane Van Gisbergen winning, were you?
Not at all. As soon as I saw him on the first few laps, I'm like, yeah, he's got it.
Yep.
Bar any failures.
I didn't see the race, but apparently the ending was actually kind of decent, and despite, yeah, it was SVG winning, but I don't think he had it as cakewalk, at least to the end, from what I was able to see. So
Well, he was definitely losing ground in the end.
And not a good day for the Connor Zilisch fans. He started on the pole and fell all the way back to 21st after leading 13 laps. It was not his day at all. The rest of the top five were Austin Hill, Sammy Smith, Jesse Love, and Corey Day. Who, by the way, Corey Day, he's the reason that Zilisch didn't have a very good day, and there's a bit of a feud developing between the two, because Corey accidentally turned Zilisch around at the exit of a corner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't look intentional at all, but I don't blame Zilisch for being pissed off.
Kind of came off the corner and clipped his quarter panel and turned him around. I can understand why Zilisch was a little less than pleased at the day after it.
Yep. And out of all 38 cars in the race, only 4 of them DNF'd. Those being Sage Karam, Josh Bilicki, Baltazar, Guizamon? I don't know how to pronounce that. I am so sorry. And Austin J. Hill.
Four DNFs is a better result than 4 cars finishing.
Well, it's also COTA. When you come to a road course, it's very rare that you see in a road course race a lot of attrition. That's why it's so rare when you see races that have had.
Even with big wrecks, you'll see cars on the road course go back out. You'll see cars with no sides, no fenders, all sorts.
So, ready to move on to the IndyCar race?
Yes, because that was one I did watch live.
So, the IndyCar Series seasons kicked off at St. Petersburg. It was the day after the NASCAR Crash and Truck Series race. And Alex Palou started 4th and went on to lead 59 laps en route to victory. I thought it was going to be Scott. I thought it was going to be
dominant finish.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Scott McLaughlin that was going to win, but it was Alex Palou.
Really, the defining point of the race was the pit stops. Literally, the pit stops. It's Palou's team made the decision to do the overcut, and then once he got out front,
and that's about the distance he won by. The gap didn't close or widen.
Yep.
And I feel bad for Mick Schumacher. His IndyCar debut was it wasn't like it didn't end on a very high note.
I guess you could say that Mick's IndyCar debut, he was stung in the end.
Hey. Yeah, Stingray Rob, I looked like he locked up his tires by mistake, and one thing led to another.
Yeah, Rob locked up his tires, slid it, collected Santino, Ferrucci, and Mick in a lap 1 incident that basically ended all 3 cars' days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the race live at my uncle's house. My uncle has a new nickname for Stingray Rob. He calls him Skid Mark Rob.
Wow. And we also had a loose wheel on Scott Dixon's part. The tire just bounced all over the place.
Which is funny because before the race started, I thought he was going to get at least a top 5. Given his tendency to run well there, even though he hasn't won there yet. It's kind of surprising to see an error out of, Team Ganassi won the race, so rare to see an uncharacteristic error out of a Ganassi team.
So yeah, I personally thought this was a good way to start the IndyCar season, and I'm looking forward to the remaining 17 rounds of it. Don't forget that there are 18 rounds with I cannot talk today. With
I've been having a rough day
six of them being oval races, 6 of them being road courses, and 6 of them being street circuits. I still wish that IndyCar would come back to Denver, but you can't have everything.
I do want to make one note of the IndyCar race, and I even said this when I was watching it too. What got into Marcus Ericsson? I mean, first he tries to pull the block on Rossi, who he thought he was racing. I'm assuming he probably thought he was one of the ones he had to be racing to keep track position. And then the block he pulled on, what was his Armstrong? I'm sorry if I blank on the first name. It's hard for me to follow an IndyCar sometimes. Marcus.
Was that when the tires clipped and they thought his tire was deflating?
No. No. That's the one where that's the one where Ericsson ran Armstrong all the way to the pit, all the way down the front straightaway. He ran him all the way to the wall.
Oh yeah.
Because the first one, okay, I can understand, and it was aggressive. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do anything with the second one, because the second one he ran him all the way almost into the fence, and I thought, okay, it's a little crazy. Again, I'm used to watching NASCAR primarily, not so much the IndyCar, but it just a little over egregious.
That's a lot more of a cringe moment in Indy, because those cars are very fragile. So doing something that aggressive is pretty dangerous. Not safety wise, but I mean just in terms of taking the other guy completely out of the race.
Well, the reason I'm kind of shocked that they didn't do anything is there was the notable deal here in 2010 when Helio got penalized. And that move didn't look as egregious as that. So I don't know. I find it kind of odd. And I even pointed it out when I was streaming it too. I was like, that seems kind of odd. It's a little way over aggressive there, but
Maybe because he wasn't actually really fighting for position, maybe they didn't think it as aggressive. I don't know.
I think the one you're also, Preston, I think the one you're thinking of is the one when Kyle Kurtwood passed McLaughlin, and he was so close to him they thought there might have been contact, but it was so close that they didn't actually touch.
Yeah.
But he was worried for about a puncture. Well, it didn't matter in the end because unfortunately Kirkwood kind of used up his stuff or had fuel concerns, so he had to save fuel to get to the end. But
Mm-hmm. Kirkwood did pretty well. Started 15th and finished 4th.
Yeah, that's a good run up to the field.
Joseph Newgard started at the back a little bit and ended up P7.
Yep. So, ready to move on?
Well, one more thing I wanted to mention because it was the other, I think, kind of notable story from this race. Will Power. First race for the new team, and unfortunately they have issues with him running into the wall and it busting the rear suspension.
Yeah.
But they still got it back out there, so they kind of got more experience gelling as a team. It's just, it sucks to see that you kind of lost your competitive race because of the issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Will Power's one of my favorites, so hopefully he can
yeah, that
do
was
better.
a shame to see, but he's got all season to still prove himself with the team.
Indeed. So, let's move on to the NASCAR Cup Series at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, remember what I said last week? I said,
What?
wouldn't it be neat if Tyler Reddick did a season opening triple?
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
Mike, you are one smart SOB. Because Tyler Reddick did just that. He has become the first driver in NASCAR Cup Series history to have won the first 3 races of a season. But I gotta say, I'm pretty bummed for Shane Van Gisbergen. He was so close to getting 6 consecutive non-oval wins and tying Jeff Gordon's record for that.
I'll tell you what I noticed, and it was just fascinating to watch the last laps of that race. But Reddick never put a wheel out of place. I mean, I don't think I watched him make one mistake all day.
He from what I've seen, he ran a perfect race from start to finish.
The only issue they had really was on the initial start of the race. It didn't seem like they had that good a car off the get-go. But after the first pit stop, that car was firing on all 8 the rest of the day. And that's where I think he had the upper edge on SVG. If you watch the lap times, and I kept watching them, and I kept saying on the stream when people say, "Oh, here comes SVG, don't count on SVG," it's like SVG's not running the speeds like we're used to seeing him run with his previous victories. With his previous victories on road courses, he was a good second to have anywhere from a half second to a second quicker than the rest of the field. But this time around, he may run a quick lap, but he was not keeping that speed up. And I was like, I think Reddick might have the edge here. And sure enough, I mean, Blaney tried for several laps to try to get around him, couldn't get to him. And SVG put his late charge on, which I have to note that was a pretty impressive late charge on that late restart to get from where he was to second. just not
Yeah.
enough to get that 45. I'm telling you, there's speed in that 23XI team this year, and obviously, you win the first 3 races of the year, people are going to be taking note of you. For sure.
Absolutely. And how about Connor Zilic? I mean, he spun out at least twice, or exactly twice, right? Yeah, and he still managed to finish 14th. That's some pretty impressive driving on his part.
Yep.
And that's even, as we said, it's even after getting spun, and he still drove his way up there. So, anytime you can drive your way from the back of the field, even in just a regular race, it's impressive. But when you do it on a track where it's hard to pass, or, well, the field gets spread out to the point where it's hard to come through the field, like to try to do it on a track like this, like COTA, makes it more impressive.
Yeah. Now, one thing at the end of the race that I was really concerned about was the fact that AJ Allmendinger was lying beside his car at the end of the race because of a cooling suit problem, I believe it was.
He had the cool suit failed.
Yeah.
Cool suit failed on him.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
was.
he wasn't the only one that apparently had that issue either. Apparently, Kyle Larson had that issue. Alex Bowman, I think, had that issue too. There was
Bowman had to be
guy that was
replaced.
kind of dealing with it.
Yeah, Bowman had to be replaced by Myatt Snyder. And the only car that DNF'd was the car of someone who looked like he was going to be a really solid contender for the race win, Chase Briscoe. So
Yeah, he actually had, it looks like something in the rear end failed because they only had one wheel that was. They had one wheel that was only one wheel that was spinning, and the other wheel was dead to water. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a broken differential.
Yep. And then we saw Ross Chastain lose the tire late in the race. And he was doing pretty well.
I kind of have a little bit of a bone to pick with that. And that is, I understand throwing the caution if the wheel had actually been in the racing line or on the racetrack. But where the wheel was, it was up against the barrier, completely the opposite end of the runoff area, the gravel trap. I kind of think they were a little quick to throw the yellow there. But, you know, in hindsight, at the time, I said I'm kind of questioned that. But in hindsight, it's like, okay, yeah, you probably should. Just in case, you know, by some weird ass, which we've seen in the history of NASCAR, where cars tend to go, you know, somebody were to go off of that area and hit that tire, it could create a real problem. But I had a little issue during the race. It's like, I don't know if we really needed a yellow for that, but a lot of for consistency, because there was that one year where, what was it, Larson lost the wheel there, and they threw it. The race, actually, I believe it was actually 23. It might have been 23 the year Reddick won.
Mm. So, I still found this to be a good race, didn't you?
Yeah, it was great to see a good race and also history made.
Yep.
And I remember I used to not like COTA because it used to be just not put on a good show, but it's been coming around lately.
Yeah, I remember back in 2023, like, there were just so many overtimes. And we were just yelling, like, get on with it!
Yeah.
But this race was just fine. And now that we've covered all 4 of the major races for this weekend in terms of NASCAR and IndyCar at St. Petersburg and COTA, let's get into our special topic for this week's episode. That being what we think of of NASCAR reviving the chase points format. And like a lot of people, I was really hoping for a return of a season without a playoff format of any kind. But I feel like this combined with the stage racing could be a pretty good compromise. So I'm very much willing to give this a chance. You know, Mike, what do you think?
Having most of my time as a NASCAR fan was around the chase time, the original. It's nice to see it back in a way that's similar, but there's also some differences with it.
Yeah. I mean, I get why NASCAR had a playoff format to begin with. Like I know they want to have their Game 7 moments and increase TV ratings. Totally get that. But to me, it was just always such a bummer to see someone win a lot of races only to lose the championship in the last race because of something just out of their control. Or not just in the last race, but any race in the playoffs for that matter. Whether it be a big wreck or an engine failure, you know what I mean? So, and I understand people are saying that there's no point system that's gonna be perfect. Totally get that.
Yeah.
We just all have our preferences.
They just got to figure out a good in between, taking the best bits from each system, best parts, and finding out what works best together. I think they're starting to get towards that.
Ryan, what do you think?
Well, first of all, we need to clarify something here. This is not exactly the original chase format.
Right.
It's different.
Yeah, that's why I said there's some differences in it.
It's
the same idea.
It's the idea of a 10 race point run is kind of the only thing that's similar to what the old chase was when it started in 2004. But I'm one that was never a fan of the full format system, and this is, I started watching really 2001, but even watching rehashes, rereading on the old championship formats, it's there really wasn't. By the time you got to the last race, it's very rare that you had a true battle for the championship. I mean, everybody points out 1992,
especially 2002. You can, or
2003,
whichever one. Yeah. It was Matt Kenseth when he just completely smashed the system.
Oh, that was 2003.
2003 was Kenseth.
Yeah,
you kind of confused the two. I was saying it's very rare that you have, if you got to the last race, that you had a true fight for the championship, like a true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, at the time, that satisfied the purists, and that's why I think so many people weren't happy when they went to the elimination formats, because you had a lot of purists who were used to that way of doing things. I mean, I'd rather there be some attention on the championship, because it is the championship you're talking about. It's the clincher. It's the title should be the big thing going into the last race. But at the same token, I could also see the argument for why so many people were against the whole one race thing. I found it exciting. I thought it lended to more exciting racing in the last race itself, and made the last race more exciting than if we were just racing for a win versus having the championship on the line. Now, granted, that's not to say, again, like an old full season format didn't give us, your one race back. Like, again, I mentioned 92. 02 is another close one, not actually in the final race, but a close one leading up to the final race. But 92, that's why I think the current one that they just announced, as you guys have said, it's the right blend between the two, but it also lends that we could possibly see, granted, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Obviously, the way Tyler Reddick has started the year, he's going to have, at least in an advantage starting to try to be the top seed, be the top guy when the chase actually starts. But you could have a situation like what happened in 2004. Now, I do think 2004 sometimes does get overlooked because that was that was not an old system. That was the chase system its first year. And you had mathematically 5 guys with a chance. Basically, you had the equivalent of 1992 in 2004 with actually what was a closer final result. It was 8 points at the time, the closest margin of victory for the championship. And then obviously, as they kind of refined the chase system, you eventually had 2011, which ended in the dead tie, and had the tiebreaker between Stewart and Edwards. So I think we have a good base with what NASCAR is starting, but we'll see how. I think give it a couple of years under this. Let's see the positives and negatives that come out of it, and then you can change it from there. And that's why I think it's interesting that they didn't initially go with what the original chase was, which was the 10 guys, and they kept the 16, kind of the crossover from the knockout format. I think it's because they want to see, okay, let's see what this does. Let's give this a year or two. And then if we have to, we'll change how many. You know, maybe to drop it down to 14 or 12 or 10 and then see. And that's what I think NASCAR is almost wanting to do, is because the big thing that's overlooked with this is that they had input from the drivers, the teams, the racetracks, the owners, the fans. They literally had input from NASCAR. Literally took input from everybody to try to come up with one full thing. And I think the most interesting thing of the whole thing is when they made the press conference on it. Mark Martin said he stood up. He told the fans, he stood up and said, "Hey, I want the full season points." And he was about booed out of the room. That, if anything, shows me the disconnect between every piece of the sport. That's why I like what we have. I like what they decided on because I think it's the right blend of it. There's little bits that satisfy everybody right now, but it's also open to change. You know, if we have to change or tweak this here or there, we can do that. I don't think we're necessarily locked in stone for this. But in a nutshell, I'm totally for it. I'm ready to see. I want to see what it does, and I'm totally ready for it.
Yeah, same here. I'm interested to see how this year goes with it.
Ditto.
Also, I'm curious how winning 3 races in a row at the start of the season affects the new point system.
Considering it's never been done, yeah, definitely be interested to see how that plays out toward the end of the year.
Yeah. If winning the first 2 races doesn't make like Reddick a contender for the championship, I don't know what will.
Well, it should be noted too, and I'll bring this up as kind of a little caveat. The last time a driver won back-to-back races to start the year, obviously nobody had done 3 until Reddick yesterday, was Kenseth in 2009.
Yeah.
Kenseth actually missed the chase that year.
Yeah, that was quite a fall from grace for him.
He didn't even make the chase. If that doesn't say what could happen, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying that Reddick is the odds-on. You know, obviously right now he's the odds favorite. But even I'm not going to say, oh, that automatically guarantees him, oh, he's going to be a contender come the chase. It's just interesting to note that and look at history and see, well, when in terms of the championship, at least the last guy that won back-to-back didn't even make the chase.
That's another interesting point with including Kenseth is back to that 2003 season, before the chase was a thing. He won, what was it, one race or two races that
Just one
whole year,
race.
One race.
and
He won
dominated
Vegas.
the championship.
But I was talking in my Discord the other night, or literally yesterday.
It's just funny to me how
Kenseth,
Kenseth is a good example for both sides of the spectrum.
yeah, Kenseth, they rarely made mistakes too. If you look at that 2003 season, Kenseth really only had two bad races. He blew an engine late in the race at Talladega in the fall race, and he wrecked at Kansas. Locked up the title at Rockingham, and then after he locked up the title, a race early, blew the engine at Homestead. So it is interesting because Kenseth's championship was kind of, I think it was twofold was why they changed it initially. It was, yeah, Kenseth had the season he had, but NASCAR also knew they had a new title sponsor coming in. You had the changeover from Bill Jr. to Brian France, which wherever you stand on him, and that's topic for another day, another time. But you had the change in leadership, you had the change in title sponsor. I think NASCAR decided, okay, this is the first time since the mid '70s. Let's make a change to the point system and see what happens. And the first 3 years, I think, were not bad. It's just you can't get complacency with this, and I think you can't jump on it too early. Like I don't think we really truly can judge it after just one season. I say give it at least 3. That's what happened with the original chase system. They gave it 3 and then they made a change. So give it 3. Give it 3 years and we'll see where we stand from there. If things go well and everybody's happy, you might see it for more than 3 years. But I would hate NASCAR to get into a position, and I'd hate when people do this too, because the fans do this too, and it kind of irks me. Don't immediately be rash and say, oh, we need to make a change because this didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Let it, give it time. We got to have patience.
Indeed.
Sorry for kind of
going that was well said.
It's all good.
Very well said, but I feel like there's a lot I want to talk on certain things. So it's like, okay, if I see it, I'm really just gonna.
Yep. So, with that discussion out of the way, this podcast episode has been going on for a little over 38 minutes. So this weekend, Formula One's back, and yes, you bet your buttons we'll be talking about it. We'll absolutely cover all the races, including the upcoming one in Australia. In my server, we're going to be doing top 3 predictions, although we'll probably pick the same drivers over and over again, but whatever.
That's just how F1 goes. I don't know, you sometimes get a wild finish and a new winner. Who knows?
That could very well happen this year. And then NASCAR is sharing a weekend with IndyCar again, and they're going to Phoenix. If I remember correctly, IndyCar stopped going to Phoenix because of mediocre ticket sales, but I think I think their return will be a good one. I have confidence in it.
This would be their first time back since the track was flipped around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people are still really aggro about how Phoenix has changed, but I'm not really mad.
Yeah, it's the same track. It's just the finish line's on the other straightaway now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. Though there's one thing that nags me that I do wish they didn't do, 'Cause I wish they kept the grass on the infield. Because it's kind of goofy seeing them cut that one corner so sharply.
Yeah.
Like, why is there, if they're going to do that, why even have a line there? Just make that the new track line.
I'm personally not bothered by it. I'm used to it.
It's just always funny to me seeing them dive further than the width of the actual track down onto the apron.
Yeah. So, we ready to wrap this up?
I guess so.
Yeah.
You still seem a little bit sleepy.
I woke up from like a nap, like just before we started recording. I just had my dinner and I just fell asleep. I guess the food was that good.
That's how you know the food's good.
Yeah. So we've all been there, right? We have a dinner so good it puts us to sleep for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They know that's Thanksgiving, but you know.
Yeah.
Who says you can't have Thanksgiving every day?
So on that note, thank you very much for listening to this third episode of Full Throttle Infinitely Wide, the Motorsports Community Podcast. We'll be back next week, unless of course like stuff happens, and hopefully we'll have Cody back. Like I said, he just had some prior commitments to take care of, and yeah, this has still been a really fun podcast. Hopefully there'll be a lot more episodes to come in the future. And hopefully you guys will keep listening. So, take care and have a great rest of your night. Or, like, morning, or whenever you're listening to this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or, like, not just time zones, but whenever you feel like listening to this.
The racing season is just kicking off this year, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So, yeah. That about does it for this episode. Take care, everyone.